Hey, welcome back. Or welcome, if this is your first time here. This is English in 30s, a calm place to practice real English slowly. I'm Maya. I'm sitting here by the window today. The sky is a soft gray, and I'm watching the steam rise from my coffee. There's no rush today, no difficult grammar tests or loud voices, just us and the English language. I'm here with Lena. Hi, Lena.
Hi, Maya. I'm really happy to be here today. I've been looking forward to this all morning. I even put my phone in another room so I could just be present in this moment with you and our listeners. And honestly, today's topic feels very me.
In what way, Lena?
Well, we're talking about how not every day is epic. You know, when I was younger, I thought every day in my 30s would feel like a movie. Big career moves, constant travel, always having it all figured out. But lately I've realized that my favorite days are the boring ones. The days where I just finish my work, go for a walk, and listen to the birds. It's a different kind of English, isn't it? It's not the English of business meetings. It's the English of the heart. It's about learning how to describe the small things that make us feel human.
I think you're right. We often spend so much time learning how to succeed in a language that we forget how to just be in it. We want our listeners to feel that it's okay to speak slowly, to pause, and to find the right words for their own quiet lives.
Exactly. It's about finding the magic in the mundane. It's messy, it's quiet, and it's completely okay. I'm ready to start if you are.
And in that moment, free time stops feeling free. It feels like a test. But today we want to make it feel soft again. You see, when we are kids, free time is just time. We don't label it. We don't ask if playing with a stick in the mud is productive or impressive. We just do it. But somewhere between our 20s and our 30s, we start to feel like we are on a stage. We feel like we need to justify the hours when we aren't working.
That is so true, Maya. I remember a few weeks ago, a colleague asked me what I did over the weekend. My mind did a quick scan. I thought, I spent 3 hours sitting on my balcony watching a spider build a web, but I didn't say that. I felt like I had to say something better, so I said, oh, I just caught up on some reading. Even in my native language, I felt the need to edit my life to sound more active. When you add the challenge of a second language like English, that pressure doubles. You aren't just looking for the right vocabulary. You're looking for a version of yourself that sounds successful in English.
Exactly. We think we need to say, I enjoy hiking rugged mountains, or I am learning to cook gourmet French cuisine. But what if the truth is, I like to sit in silence with my coffee? For our listeners, I want you to know that the quiet answers are beautiful. In fact, the quiet answers are often the most honest. When you stop trying to be interesting, your English actually becomes more natural. Your shoulders drop. Your breathing slows down. You stop fighting the grammar and you start sharing your soul.
And I love that. The English of the heart, as we said before. Today, we aren't going to teach you how to talk about epic hobbies. We're going to give you the words for the small, soft moments. Because those moments are where your real life happens.
So take a deep breath. Let the test go. Let's talk about the beauty of doing absolutely nothing. Because free time doesn't have to look exciting. Sometimes it doesn't look like a hobby at all. Sometimes it just looks peaceful, a quiet moment, a cup of coffee, a walk with no destination. And that is still free time. You know, Lena, we live in a world that is always on. We feel like if we aren't learning a new skill or building a side business in our off hours, we are falling behind. We feel like we have to use our time. But time isn't a tool. It's just the space we live in.
That's such a beautiful way to put it. Maya, I often think about the word hobby. It sounds so formal, doesn't it? Like you need a certificate or a special uniform to have one. When I tell people my hobby is staring at the clouds, they laugh. But for me, those 15 minutes on my balcony are the most important part of my day. It's when my brain finally stops talking to me about my to-do list.
And for our listeners, this is where your English can really grow. When you stop trying to find big words for big hobbies, you start noticing the vocabulary of the senses. You don't need a C1 level to say, I like the sound of the rain, or I feel calm when I bake bread. These are simple sentences, but they carry so much weight. They tell us who you really are. In your 30s, you realize that you don't need to be an expert in everything. You just need to be an expert in what makes you feel at peace.
Yes, we want to give you permission to be boring in English. Because boring is often where the most beautiful stories are hidden. If your free time is just sitting on the sofa with your cat, that is a story worth telling. It's a real human story.
So let's look at how we can talk about these small moments. Let's find the words that feel like a soft blanket on a cold night. No pressure, no tests, just real English for your real, quiet life. So when we look at our own free time, it feels small.
But it's not boring. It's just quiet. And quiet doesn't mean empty. I think about social media a lot here. Maya, we see a photo of a friend, standing on top of a mountain or a video of someone finishing a marathon. We see the highlights, and in our heads, we create a rule. To be interesting in English, I must have a highlight reel. But no one posts a picture of the hour they spent sitting on the floor, playing with their dog, or the 30 minutes they spent staring at the rain with a cup of lukewarm tea. Yet, those are the moments where we actually live. Those are the moments that recharge us.
You're so right. We have a perfection filter in our brains. When we speak a second language, that filter is even stronger. We think, if I tell my teacher or my friend that I spent my Saturday cleaning my bookshelf, they will think my life is sad. But actually, there is so much beautiful vocabulary in that small life. The word clutter for the mess on the shelf. The word organize for the feeling of putting things in their place. The word satisfied for how you feel when the job is done.
Yes, and when you share those real, small details, people connect with you more. If you tell me you went skydiving, I might say, wow, cool. But if you tell me you finally found the perfect way to make toast without burning it, I will laugh and say, oh my God, me too. The small English is what creates a bridge between two people. The big English, the epic hobbies, often just creates a wall of performance.
I love that. A bridge versus a wall. In your 30s, you don't need walls anymore. You've spent enough time trying to look epic. Now it's time to be real. It's time to realize that your boring evening is actually a very full, very rich experience.
Exactly. It's about the depth of the moment, not the volume of the activity.
Speaking doesn't start with perfect words. It starts with courage. You know, Lena, we often treat English like a glass vase, something beautiful, but very fragile that we are afraid to break. We think if we miss a the or an a, or if we use the wrong tense, the whole conversation will shatter. So we choose the safest, shortest answer possible. Nothing special. But that's like keeping the vase in a box where no one can see it.
That is such a powerful image, Maya. I see this so often. A learner has a beautiful thought in their mind. Maybe they want to describe the smell of rain on hot pavement or the feeling of finishing a long book. But they look at their mental dictionary and see they are missing a few words. They feel like a chef who has all the ingredients but no salt. So instead of serving the meal, they just say, I'm not hungry. They say nothing special because it protects them from making a mistake, but it also prevents them from making a connection. In your 30s, you start to realize that people aren't looking for a perfect textbook. They are looking for a friend. They don't mind if your grammar is a little messy if your story is real.
Exactly. And the secret is that you can build a bridge with very small stones. You don't need the word extraordinary to describe your day. You can just say, I sat. I drank tea. It was quiet. I liked it. Those are simple, tiny sentences. But they are 100 times better than saying nothing, and because they let us see into your world.
I think we need to redefine what a mistake is. A mistake isn't a wrong verb. The only real mistake is staying silent when you have something to share. When you say, "I sat on the couch and did nothing," you are practicing the most important skill in English: honesty.
So let's practice that courage today. We are going to show you how to take that nothing special and turn it into a conversation, one small imperfect word at a time. Because your nothing is actually the most interesting thing about you. Because those small things are real life.
Sometimes I just sit. No music, no phone. Just sitting, and that feels enough. I think we are often told that we should use our free time to discover something new. New music, a new series, a new park. But when my day has been full of new problems at work or new vocabulary in my English class, my brain is tired. I don't want new. I want known. That is why I watch the same TV show for the 5th time. I already know what the characters will say. I know how it ends. In English, we call this comfort watching. It's like a warm hug for your mind. You aren't watching to be surprised. You're watching to feel safe.
Comfort watching. What a perfect phrase for our listeners to learn. It's the opposite of productivity. It's about emotional regulation. And your walks, Lena. I do the same thing. I call them aimless walks. When you walk for exercise, you are focused on your heart rate or your steps. You are still working. But when you walk just to look at the shape of the leaves or the color of a neighbor's door, you are finally free. You aren't a worker or a student in that moment. You are just a human being in the world.
Exactly. And I want to tell our listeners, it is okay if you cannot explain why you enjoy these things in complicated English. You don't need to explain the philosophy of your walk. You can just say, "I like the air," or "The trees are pretty." In our 30s, we learn that the simplest sentences often describe the deepest peace. We don't need to justify our rest. We just need to give ourselves permission to take it.
Permission. That is a big word. Maybe the biggest word we will learn today. Let's look at how we can give ourselves permission to speak about these quiet moments without feeling like we have to apologize for them. Simple English is strong English because people understand you. And understanding is the goal. Sometimes we think that to be advanced in a language, we need to use long, winding sentences with many commas. But in your 30s, you realize that the most confident people in the room are often the ones who speak the most clearly. They don't hide behind big words. They say exactly what they mean.
I agree so much. When I first started learning, I tried to say, "I find great solace and tranquility in the act of preparing a steeped beverage," but I was so nervous about the grammar that my voice shook. Now I just say, "I like making tea." It's the same message. But the second one is better. Why? Because I can say it with a smile. I can say it while looking someone in the eye. When you use simple words, you aren't fighting with your brain anymore. You are actually communicating with the person in front of you.
And that's the secret. If you say, "I stay at home," you are opening a door. The other person can then ask, "Oh, what do you do at home?" And you can answer, "I sleep," or "I cook." It becomes a conversation, not a presentation. For our listeners, try to think of these short sentences as building blocks. You don't need to build a whole castle in 1 minute. Just put one block down. I like music. Wait, see if they smile. Then put another block down. I like old jazz.
And it's okay to use your hands, to pause and to breathe. In your 30s, you have the right to take up space. You don't have to apologize for a short sentence. Short sentences are brave because they are honest.
So this week, when someone asks you what you did over the weekend, don't look for the epic story. Look for the small truth. Give them one simple sentence and say it with pride. Because your quiet life is a life worth talking about.
I can't wait to hear what those simple sentences are.
Until next time. Keep it slow, keep it simple, and take care of yourselves. Confidence doesn't come from perfect English. It comes from speaking and being understood.
Now I know, long sentences are not the goal. Connection is. In my 20s, I looked at English like a wall I had to climb. I thought that if I didn't have the perfect gear, the most advanced vocabulary and the fastest speed, I shouldn't even try to start. I was so focused on the mechanics of the language that I forgot its purpose. English is just a tool to help me tell you that I'm tired, or that I'm happy, or that I spent my Sunday afternoon watching the rain.
It's like we were trying to build the roof of a house before we even had the floor. In your 30s, you start to value the foundation. You realize that a simple, sturdy sentence like "I am resting" is much more powerful than a complex one that you are too nervous to say. When you speak about your free time, you are speaking about your safe space. Your brain isn't fighting to remember a difficult business term or a political concept. It's just remembering the feeling of your couch or the taste of your tea. Because the topic is soft, your English becomes soft too. The tension leaves your neck and your shoulders. You stop performing and you start participating.
Exactly, and that is the biggest mindset shift of all. You move from thinking, how do I look to others, to how can I connect with this person? And when I say, I watch videos, I am giving you a piece of my reality. It doesn't matter if the sentence is 3 words long. What matters is that now you know something about me. We have a connection.
And that connection is the fuel for your progress. Every time someone understands your simple sentence, your brain gets a little win. Those small wins build up over time until one day you realize you aren't afraid to speak anymore. Not because your English is perfect, but because you know that being imperfect is enough to be understood.
It's a journey of letting go of the perfect student and becoming the real person.
And if someone asks you, what do you do in your free time? You don't need the perfect answer. You don't need a beautiful sentence. You don't need advanced vocabulary. You don't need to speak fast.
You just need your answer, the one that is true for you, even if it feels small, even if it feels simple.
Pauses are okay. Taking time is okay. Thinking is okay. When you pause, you are not failing. You are choosing your words.
Simple words are okay too. Words you already know. Words you use every day. I like music. I stay at home. I rest.
That is real communication. People understand you, and that's the goal.
Perfection makes us silent, but speaking, even imperfectly, helps us grow.
Done is better than perfect, because every time you speak, you learn something. And little by little, your confidence comes back.
Free time is also a good place to practice English. Not study time, not class time, just normal everyday moments. Moments when you're relaxed, when you're not trying to be perfect.
Yes, free time takes the pressure away. There's no test, no teacher, no right or wrong. You're just listening, or watching, or reading a little bop.
5 minutes of listening is enough. One short video, a few words you understand. You don't need an hour. You don't need a plan.
And that still counts. It counts because you showed up. You gave your brain English.
Sometimes I listen while cooking, or while walking, or before sleeping. I don't repeat everything. I don't understand every word. And that's okay.
Your brain is still learning, quietly, in the background.
Free time learning feels gentle. It feels kind. And when learning feels kind, you want to come back.
That's how habits grow. Not with pressure, but with comfort.
So if today you only listen for 5 minutes, that is not nothing. That is progress.
And tomorrow, maybe 5 minutes again. Little steps. Real life, real English. Now let's take a moment for vocabulary. Not difficult words, just useful ones. Words you can use in real life. Today we're focusing on words connected to free time. First, hobbies. A hobby is something you do because you like it. Not because you have to. It can be big or small, reading, cooking, walking, even watching videos. Next, relax. To relax means to slow down. To rest your body and your mind. You can relax at home. You can relax outside. You can say, I relax after work. Another word is enjoy. Enjoy means you like something. It feels good. You can enjoy music. You can enjoy quiet time. You can say, I enjoy simple things. We also have free time. Free time is the time when you don't work or study. It doesn't need a plan. It's just your time. And finally, routine. Routine means the things you do every day. Morning coffee, work, evening rest. These words are simple, but they help you talk about your life clearly. So, Lena, one final thought for today?
I think this is the most important thing. Your free time doesn't need to be impressive. It doesn't need to look productive. It doesn't need to turn into a skill or a goal. It just needs to feel good, safe, comforting.
And your English doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need big words or fast sentences. It just needs to be real. Real English is the English you use to talk about your own life, your evenings, your quiet moments.
When you talk about what you enjoy, you're not practicing English. You're sharing who you are, and that's why it feels lighter. Less pressure, more connection.
If you're listening right now and thinking, I don't do anything special, that's okay. You still have a life. Rest is part of life. Silence is part of life. Simple routines are part of life.
So we'd love to hear from you. Tell us in the comments, what do you like doing in your free time? You can write one sentence, or even just one word.
And if today's episode helped you feel calmer or more confident, you can come back anytime.
Thank you for being here with us.
Speak slowly. Breathe. We'll see you next time.